It's not long to go before Pakistan kick off their SAFF Championship campaign, but like their opponents, India in that first game of the SAFF Championships, first up they play an international friendly tournament. Now I don't have a Pakistan shirt, but I've tried to go with the dark green colour scheme of Pakistan. Ryan is lauding, as he rightly should, our club football success with a double whammy of a West Ham shirt and the West Ham scarf as well.
I shouldn't have put the scarf on. I'm absolutely baking.
Yeah.
But for visual effect, I had to double up.
I completely agree.
I'm still on cloud nine. I do not have a shirt for any of the teams that take part in the Four Nations Cup, so I thought I've got to bowl the claret and blue on the first recording that we're doing post UECL victory. What a feeling! What a wonderful few days, and it's got me so. I'm on cloud nine with everything football, mate, and then it leads and it's segueing quite beautifully into this June international break. And yeah, another great tournament for us to chat through. Mauritius, Kenya, Djibouti, Pakistan. Talk me through sort of the headline beats, and then we'll chew the fat on it a little bit, my friend, my amigo.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you say, really intriguing set of teams in this one. So the tournament's going to be played between the 11th and the 18th of June. And Mauritius, a side that we don't see play all that often, they're actually hosting this one. All the games to be played at the Angele Stadium, if I've pronounced that right. It's just a straight-up group of four. It's like a World Cup group, so there's only 6 games in total. But instead of top 2 going into a final, which you see in a lot of these tournaments, it's just a straight up, if you win the group, you win the tournament one. We see that in they call these the Four Nations tournaments, don't they? These friendly things, and you see that quite a lot. Obviously, you've got 3 African sides and Pakistan, the Asian side included in it as well. Kenya, on paper, the strongest side, but there's a chance that it's their domestic team that goes rather than having players such as Akumu, who plays for Ghent, for example. And of course, Kenya, they've not played that many games recently because of their FIFA ban, which took place in February of last year, right the way through to November of that year. So they're not included in AFCON at all, which is probably why they're trying to get some football under their belts against sides that were also knocked out of AFCON in the preliminary rounds. So it's really tough to call because you've got Mauritius, the Dodos, their nickname, which I thought was a fantastic one. 180 in the world rankings. Then you've got Djibouti and Pakistan 193 and 195 respectively, and then Kenya, whilst being in 102, if it is their domestic side, you can expect probably the quality of a side around the 150 160 mark, arguably, because they've still got good players in their domestic league as well. But I'm really looking forward to this one because I don't think I've seen that many of these teams play that regularly. You know, when we talk SAFF champs, there's a focus on India. We've had tournaments that the Maldives have played in a few times, but Pakistan we don't see all that often, and they are technically the sort of underdogs in this one. They're the only Asian side playing, but they are the lowest ranked as well. They have got a few new additions to the squad, most notably, and you'll see this across the Pakistan Football Federation Twitter account and across all their social media. They're posting lots of pictures of Otis Khan, who is a player for Grimsby. He's an attacking midfielder, so plays at a very decent level for a side that lowly ranked. And they've also got Harun Hamid, who's an under-21s for Queen's Park Rangers. And we've already seen with people like
Dylan De Silva.
Yes, Dylan De Silva as well for Sri Lanka, the kind of impact that even an under-21s for a side like QPR can make internationally. So I think they've got half a chance in this one. You mentioned how we don't have kits of any of the sides. So before we go into any predictions that we want to make, if you had to have a kit from one of these nations, what nation are you picking?
Probably go Mauritius, I think.
Do you think?
I think, I don't know. Just make the nickname the Dodos.
It's so good. Good.
Whose kit are you wearing, the Dodos? I don't know. I just feel like a Mauritius or Kenya vibe would absolutely pop, mate. That can I just say, lovely little bit of chat on this tournament because I do not know a huge amount about it at all, apart from the Wikipedia page that I'm looking at now. You've reeled off some really cool stats and facts and bits and bobs. Yeah, it's so interesting. I wonder if Mauritius have ever hosted a football tournament before. Again,
Good
we
question.
sort of when we have these little chat throughs ahead of these kind of tournaments, we always throw out these questions, don't we? We did it in the Vanuatu video a little while ago, where we sort of say, have they ever gone outside of Oceania and played, or when was the last time they did? And much the same here. If Mauritius ever hosted a football tournament, if you know these kind of details, throw them down below, because we love to educate ourselves, as we always say. Now, I think you mentioned this, didn't you, that the Mauritius, they don't play very often. They haven't played in
Seemingly,
2023 yet,
yeah.
and or at least it's not easily findable on Tinternet. So 3 matches in 2022, all part of CASAFA Cup, all 3 losses, which is interesting. From a Kenya point of view, interesting. You sort of mentioned about which team are going to take part. From this is newsday.co.kenya. The competition will serve as a platform for Harambee Stars coach Engin Firat to identify the strengths of the players and fine-tune their skills. It doesn't go as far to say what sort of squad he's going to be picking from. The tournament will span 10 days and will provide valuable game time for the team to assess their performance. In addition to the Mauritius tournament, the Federation has plans to organise a series of high-profile friendly matches in Europe and the Middle East in the near future. So maybe that's sort of giving an indication as to, we're doing this against some smaller nations, but we're going to play some bigger teams, maybe with their sort of their main A squad, if you want to call it that. These matches will further aid in the development and preparation of the players, ensuring that they are in top form for the challenges that lie ahead. Which I thought was quite a neat way of summarising it from their point of view. Because, in my opinion, if they bowl up with their first team, they will just play 3, win 3, just purely based off of. Just purely based off where they are in the rankings and their sort of footballing pedigree and the players that they produce and typically have in their squad. Yeah, and then when you look at the other sides, mate, Djibouti and Pakistan, you've pinged me over a few stats and facts about these two earlier. Now, talk to me about Pakistan. Not won competitively since 2018.
Yeah, so it's always
Jesus,
difficult when you
5
look at
years.
these when you look at these things and you research online, and always when we do these videos, actually, I have a quick search on YouTube for essentially roughly what I'm going to kind of call the video, to see what's already out there and to see if anyone else is in the know. And
Yeah.
normally with tournaments, particularly where like when India are involved, loads of people that know far more about it and are far more in the know in Indian football do really good videos. With this tournament, I typed in Mauritius Four Nations Cup 2023. Really, kind of nothing, and nothing really substantial. And it was actually only kind of Kenyan videos that came up that were talking about, the fact that the government have paid for it so they can go and do it. Yeah, so when looking, it's not clear if Pakistan have played any games that aren't necessarily competitive games and have won in that time, but certainly based on what I've seen, they've not actually won any games since the SAFF Champs. But I can only see that they've played 4 games since 2018, sorry, after the SAFF Champs in 2018 to 2019 onwards, and they haven't got a win in that time. And even talking about this tournament and going into SAFF Champs as well, they have to get an NOC, a No Objection Certificate, from the Pakistan Sports Board. And the players had to do an appeal to the government of Pakistan or to the Sports Board to say we need
To go and play.
to need this to go and play. And there's videos of them in a hotel room. I don't know if they're in Pakistan and hadn't left yet, but that only came in on the 6th of June. So given that the tournament starts 5 days after that, it took a long time. And
so I wonder if that's why they've not played many games then.
I mean, certainly potentially, yeah, and the same with the SAFF Champs as well. But I believe it's mixed messages. From what I've seen, it looks like it wasn't just that the NOC didn't come for a while, but I don't think all the correct paperwork was submitted that was required for the NOC to actually be given. So you have two sides. You have the sports board saying we've not got the information we need, and you've got Pakistan Football Federation saying, please, we need to play these games. We want to play.
Yeah.
Bit of a disaster class to start the tournament off, to be honest. So I think they're just pleased. They've touched down in Mauritius. I've seen pictures from training for Pakistan. And obviously with Otis Khan, he's very pleased that he's going to be making his debut. I've seen an interview that he gave around that. And I think this is a huge opportunity for them to buck that trend and to get a win, to be honest, because Djibouti, not to speak to their discredit, they're a side who flitters around 185 to 200 in the FIFA World Rankings. That they did beat Burundi across Chan qualification in 2022, but that was in a year where they played 6, lost 5, and South Sudan knocked them out of AFCON prelims with a 5-2 aggregate defeat. They are a minnow nation side, and so whilst that doesn't mean that Pakistan will beat them, it means that it's going to at least be a close game. And when you add someone of the quality of Otis Khan and indeed Hamid as well, you've seen with Sri Lanka games what a difference that kind of quality, particularly going forward, can make. And I think that will give them an edge, and also will probably, give them a real close-up with a side like Mauritius, who may be a side of decent quality, obviously playing at home in front of not enormous crowds, but still home crowds. But they're another side that just does not play very often. You've already mentioned just 3 times in 2022.
Yeah.
So I think this one's going to be a really interesting one, but it's difficult to give predictions as to who we think is going to win, given that across the board, these sides just don't play that often. I think that if I had to pick, I think even a domestic side of Kenya would win. We did our preview for the Hero Intercontinental Cup, and we found out after doing that the Kenyan side that won that, I think in 2018, we said, was a domestic side as well. We've seen tournaments in North Africa and across the Arab nations where they play domestic teams. They're still very, very good teams. They're the B sides, but they're still very good. So I would give the edge to Kenya in this one, but I'm very, very keen to see what the underdogs Pakistan can do. What about yourself?
Mate, well said, mate. Well said. I can't argue with too much of that, and your logic there, I think, backs that all up wonderfully well. Just as you were sort of rattling through a few stats and facts there, and quickly, the NOC thing is such an interesting point. It would be, again, if anyone watches this and has had any more knowledge on why or how they have to go about this, throw some stuff down below. But I guess it would add a little bit of reasoning to why Pakistan aren't playing very often and what sort of special circumstances, what hoops and hurdles they need to go through to actually play friendly football matches or tournaments that aren't AFCON and FIFA World Cup qualies. I do not know. The kind of predictions, mate, I agree with you. It's one of those. This is another one of those tournaments that we've not sort of seen before. A lot of these teams we've not seen in great detail. Pakistan, interestingly, the squad that they are taking or that are taking to the tournament to participate, yes, Otis Khan and Harun Hamid will play. Out of the entire 26 or 28 man squad that I'm looking at, there is only one player that has ever scored for Pakistan, which is Hassan Bashir, who's got 9 goals. So he's only 2 goals off their all-time top goal scorer ever, but only one of the 28 that's ever scored. And you've only got 3 players that have played more than 10 times for the international team. I mean, I think that paints the picture that we're speaking about. They don't play many games. They do not play many games. From a Djibouti point of view, the only thing that I can sort of grab that I wanted to throw out there was their top goal scorer in international history is Mahdi Hussein Mahabe, who's got 6 goals. That's just got. You said how they're always bubbling between 180 and 200 plus. I think you always get the sign of a true minnow when the top goal scorer in the country's history has sort of less than 10 goals. It's kind of got Andy Selva, San Marino vibes to it, hasn't it?
It does. Absolutely.
Yeah, mate. Predictions, format, layout, not sure. 1 game each, I think, which is enough for this kind of thing. But I think it lends itself to Kenya, even if it will be a domestic-based team. But with these kind of things, I'm just so interested in it, not necessarily even the winner itself, more like the isolated fixtures, to see Mauritius host a tournament and to see them play Pakistan and Djibouti in these one-off games and see how they stand. Mainly for me, if I'm being honest, mate, my focus is on Pakistan. I love the fact that they're playing 3 African sides, which I don't think I'm pretty certain they haven't played any of these sides ever before. And so kind of when these fixtures happen, they make history. So that's what I love, mate. And that is my sort of my summary thoughts on it all. If I'm being honest.
Your closing statement, and I'd have
closing
to
remarks,
agree,
yeah.
one way or another, these tournaments always make history. They're fantastic to see, and this is why we do D&Q, and we absolutely love it. If you are from Pakistan, or indeed any of the countries participating, or you're just a Minnow Nation lover, why don't you drop a comment and let us know your predictions for this one. But the predictions don't matter. The main thing is just the fact that we get to see these teams play. As always, thank you for watching D&Q Football, and we will see you next time.